today I can share some. Sorry, I just got a notice there. So hopefully I can help you come up with some ideas to try to generate some revenue through the Giving Tuesday campaign. And please feel free, this is a small group, so we can be very interactive here. Please jump in, share any thoughts or any experiences that you might have that you want to share with the group too. So I'm going to share my presentation with you. This is very basic, but it will walk us through. I think I did that wrong. You can't see that yet, can you?
Nope, not yet.
Okay. So I usually do Google Chat. What's the best way to share this here?
Do you see a button that says share screen in the middle of Zoom?
Oh yeah, there it is. Sorry, I couldn't see it. I'm losing my mind.
No worries.
Okay, there we go.
And what I'll say too is we would love for this to be interactive. I am going to mute everyone at the beginning. Typically what we do with these sessions is we do a first portion where we have a little bit of a presentation. And we have that part recorded so that it can be watched later, so you can use it for reference or share it with anyone who you think might benefit. And then from there, we're going to have some more interactive portions for today. So take it away, Meg.
All right, thank you. So the first thing that I wanted to talk about is that for a lot of nonprofits, when it comes to Giving Tuesday, they basically say, oh my gosh, it's November 11th and Giving Tuesday is coming up. We probably should do something. And so there isn't a lot of thought given to it. They think, well, because there's a lot of people who will be giving that day, we'll just take whatever we can get out of it and be grateful for that. And that is, that's certainly one way of approaching it. But because people are so generous that day, there is an opportunity to get a bigger share of that pie, right? And part of that is by having an intentional strategy. So it's not just saying, let's throw out a couple of social media posts and maybe we'll send an email blast out and see what we get. If you come up with a real campaign and put some real thought and intention behind it, you stand to really gain from Giving Tuesday in a much bigger way. And so that's really what we're going to talk about today is what does that look like? How can you craft a campaign and create a strategy that will work for you? So that's really step one, is saying, okay, we're going to commit to this. And I want to say too, this is not something that when I say like create a campaign and put a strategy into place for this, this is not something that's going to take you hours and hours and hours of time. That's not what we're doing. What we are saying though, is if you're going to put a plan in place, it will make it a lot easier for you and you won't end up having to spend as much time because you will have put the thought into that ahead of time. So the first thing, like with any campaign that you're going to do, second step, I guess, is to start with the end in mind. So when Giving Tuesday is over, what do you hope will happen, right? The event is over. What are you hoping will come of that day? And again, with an unplanned campaign, you're just kind of throwing darts and say, let's just see what we can get, and that's okay. But if you're going to be more intentional about it, you can set some goals and say, here's what we got last year. Here's what we got in 2019 and 2018. What would be reasonable for us to try to go after this year? And depending on how you approached it the last couple of years, if you did not have a real plan in place and we're just sort of winging it, it would be reasonable to say, okay, well, we got X the last couple of years. We could get X times 10, maybe we're going to get 10, we're going to shoot to do 10% more or 15% more. So that you really put a goal to this campaign. And then at the end, it's going to be measurable, right? You're going to be able to say, okay, here was our goal, and here's the things that we did. Maybe we didn't reach our goal, but we did 5% more than we had done the year prior. And is what we did worth an extra 5%? You can't measure those things and make plans for the future if you don't have the goals in place. So I would say start with the end in mind. What is it that you want to achieve? How much do you want to raise? Who is it that you want to support this campaign? And that leads us into step 3, which is, who are those people we want to support us? Who most likely is going to give? And that most likely piece here is really, really important, because often what happens is we think we have such a beautiful mission that why wouldn't somebody want to support us, right? Who wouldn't want to donate to what we're doing, because we're doing such good work, such important work, making such an impact. But the reality is, just like with any kind of business, there are going to be people who are going to be more likely to support you than others. And you know who those are. You have certain people who consistently donate or consistently volunteer. Those people are most likely going to give with a Giving Tuesday campaign. And the reason for that is that this is not like a big capital campaign where you're promoting it for months and months and sending out all kinds of materials to people. This is a small kind of quick shot in the arm. And the people that are most likely to give to you are going to be people who are A, familiar with the organization and what you're doing, and B, people who have supported you in the past. So this is the argument that I make frequently with nonprofits, is that you need to consistently keep your name out in the marketplace for this exact kind of reason, right? If we go out 2.5 weeks before, if you go out tomorrow and start talking about Giving Tuesday to people who are not familiar with your organization, they're probably not going to give. And I've used this example before. I think I used it in a presentation I did last year with Carolyn. You don't want to ask somebody to marry you before you date them, right? You need to go out with them a while before you ask them to marry you. That's the same kind of thing when you're asking somebody to give. They have to be familiar with your organization before they're going to make that commitment to donate. So you may have heard the old adage, they need to know, like, and trust you. In order to buy something from you, it's the same thing in terms of making a donation. And people nowadays, I think, because of the internet, there are more scams out there than ever before. People are very cautious about who they are going to give to. So it's really important that throughout the year, you are consistently out there with messages that A, go to your community who is already supporting you, and B, the additional people who are not familiar with you that you can bring into the fold. So certainly you may hit upon somebody in the next couple of weeks that isn't familiar with you, but says, boy, I like what you're doing, I will give to you. But and we're going to talk a little bit more in a few minutes about a timeline for this campaign. And we're really saying that it's 2 weeks out at the most. And 2 weeks is not enough time for people who aren't familiar with you to get to really know, like, and trust you. So what's really important for this particular Giving Tuesday is that you get in front of people who our supporters or who are already familiar with you in some way. Okay. Ah, my slide doesn't want to move. Here we go. There we go. All right. So how do we reach those people? We want to use any internal databases that you have to create email blasts. Some people are really good at doing email marketing on a regular basis. If you're not, you should think about that, because that ties into what we just talked about, which is consistently staying out there in front of folks. You need to know who the people are that you're going after, right? We talked a little bit about your core supporters. We're not going to go after everyone in the world. We're going after a small group of people. Oh my gosh, can you guys hear that? There's somebody working on my house who just showed up now that wasn't really supposed to be here. So I'm gonna actually go upstairs and hide, or I'll go downstairs and hide, but I'll still talk. Sorry about that. So you want to go after those core people that support your organization. And depending on how you currently go after them, so it depends, right? So if you have a group of people who are senior citizens, who are big supporters for you, then you probably want to reach them, or may want to reach them via direct mail, right? They are still reading mail that you send to their home. Now, that's an expensive way to do it. Direct mail is not cheap. However, depending on the kind of return you can get, it may or may not make sense for you. But if that does make sense, then that's something you might want to look at. If you have younger donors, really young donors, and when I say young, I'm talking about, 20 somethings, even 30s, early 30s, text to give campaigns can be very strong. So, that's when you text 4119, text pencil to 4119 and make a donation, something like that. And of course, you can post to your tribe on social media, and you're going to want to do that regardless of who you're going after, because you just need to stay out in front of a wide audience. And then one of the things that I think is really interesting for nonprofits right now, we just did this for one, is a text campaign. And basically they are text reminders. So they're going to somebody's phone, a couple of days before, the day before, the day of, saying, hey, Giving Tuesday is coming up in 4 days from now. Just want to let you know. The day before, it's, hey, you get another text saying tomorrow is Giving Tuesday, or Give Big Pittsburgh, I should say. And here's the link, please donate. And then the day of, you send another text out. And I want to tell you too, and Carolyn, I meant to tell you this and I forgot. I work with a company that has created a software that's a proprietary software that can do these text campaigns. And when I was telling him that, I talked to him about how we could work with nonprofits to help them with fundraising. And I told him I was doing this presentation. He said, well, if any of those people want to do it, I can give it to them for practically free. He said, I'd be happy to try to do something with. He's not done that before, but if you're looking for something like that, let me know and I could connect you to him and you could get a really good deal on doing a texting campaign. The next step, and this is a really, really important piece of this, is what is your message, right? You're going to go out, you're going to ask for donations, but part of that has to be, what are we going to tell people? What are we going to talk to them about that's going to get them to donate, right? And what I see frequently is organizations go out there and they talk about their mission, or they talk about what they do. They talk about how they were started. That's all good stuff. But if you want people to let go of their money, you've got to tug at their heartstrings. And I have seen this over and over again, that if you say, let's say, for example, you work with childhood cancer and you say, well, we are a organization that helps children in Pittsburgh um, who have cancer. We provide funding and emotional support, and we need your help right now. That sounds great. But if you go out there and say, we are a nonprofit that helps children with cancer, we provide them with emotional support and funding, and let me tell you about how we helped Bobby. Bobby's parents were in this situation, blah, blah, blah. They couldn't help him. You know, you create this story, you bring them into a story that elicits emotion so that when you're done telling your story, people are saying, oh my gosh, of course I want to give to kids with cancer. How could I not give to kids with cancer? You know, it's just a whole different approach as opposed to saying we help kids with cancer. So it's kind of creating that emotion that makes people really feel something, because when they feel and you tap into their heartstrings and create that emotion, they are much more inclined to give. Do you guys find that to be true in your general marketing? Anybody?
Yeah, feel free to post in the chat, or if you would like to unmute.
Okay, nobody feel like sharing? That's okay, no problem. I thought I would just ask. Feel free at any point to jump in if you want. So to get an idea of what we're talking about with creating this campaign, Carolyn had actually already sort of put a template together for one of her clients, and she shared this with me, and we decided we were going to share it with you. And I think this is a really great idea. And what you can do if you want now is to actually do this for yourself. So Carolyn, I'm going to let you kind of talk about this because you put this template together. Why don't you share with them some of your thoughts on this?
Absolutely. No, thanks, Meg. So this template goes, I believe it's about 2 weeks out from Giving Tuesday. And to your point, Meg, you're talking to people who already know about your organization, and it's more or less getting them into this mentality of Giving Tuesday is coming, save the date, we're knowing that we're going to do something. But the way that this template is set up is not only to save the date, but to think about how you're sharing those stories. So some of the posts are more related to just a general save the date or Giving Tuesday reminder, but then some of the other content is about sharing your impact and sharing those stories that really show how your organization is able to reach people in a number of different ways. Some of them are maybe 1 or 2 in those weeks leading up, and it is varied content. So there's emails, social posts, a number of other methods that you might use, and those can be changed out based on the needs of you and your audience. But then as you get further, then the day of Giving Tuesday, you get a little bit more intense. So typically I do at least three posts on Giving Tuesday. One that's the initial invitation to Giving Tuesday and just sort of the opening of good morning, here's who we are, here's what we're doing for Giving Tuesday. A medium post in the middle of the day that says, here's how we're doing so far. We've set a goal of $10,000 for Giving Tuesday, and we're at 5,000 already. So we're halfway there, and just give a thank you and encouragement. And then a last post that is probably around the end of the day, whether that's end of work day or somewhere within that period of time in the evening, where you have sort of a thank you, and there's still time because Giving Tuesday tends to go that full day, and you will have some people who will tend to donate late at night. And then it also has a follow-up of the next day, giving everyone an update of not only thank you for donating and being a part of our campaign, but also sharing how much you did make. I had a client recently who did not a Giving Tuesday campaign, but a campaign where they ended up raising quite a bit of money, but they were, say, $1,000 short of being at an even number. And when they shared that on their social media, even just as a thank you, they had a few people who said, oh, well, we can't let you just stay that $1,000 shy of your even number. So they ended up donating an extra $5,000 to that cause. So sharing
that.
some of that too.
That's great. I love that. That's a great story. And I love the idea of the 3 posts the day of, kind of reminding people. People love to see like countdowns. They love to see, you see organizations put the thermometer up and fill it up as they go through their capital campaigns or whatever they're doing. People really respond to that kind of thing. So if your posts are talking about, we're hoping to raise X number of dollars, and then show how that's going, that's a fun thing to do. But Carolyn, you also raise a really good point, and either at the end of that day or the following day, we need to do some sort of a thank you to all of those people who supported you that day. That's a really important piece of doing this campaign.
Absolutely. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to stop our recording, but open it up to everyone who's here today to ask any questions they might have. I also put that Giving Tuesday content calendar into the chat. So if you'd like to even pull that up and start trying to tailor it and ask any initial questions that you have, Meg and I would be glad to talk through some of the campaigns that we've seen that have been successful and give you some tailored guidance to how that might work best for you and your audience.